Well, good day, and not so good day. I am here by the Victoria Legislature behind me, and here the MCFD new building that I worked on some time ago. And so essentially, there are a number of things to touch upon. This coming BC Family Day, I would like to initiate, for those interested, the first rally of its kind in North Vancouver for child rights and in relation to the allowed practice of withholding children mostly by women, but in some cases men as well, but generally that's not allowed in courts. And the manipulation tactics which are used in provincial court particularly, wherein the MCFD and the provincial court have a relationship together. It's a symbiotic one. The two feed off each other. The subsidy money flows from the government to the MCFD. The MCFD then exclusively uses the provincial court, which has a very flexible and malleable series of rules and regulations, mostly that everything that passes through it is discretionary, and essentially the judiciary have absolute power. I mean, that's the case in the Supreme. If you get down to the nitty-gritty, all one has to say as a member of the judiciary is in the best interest of the children, and it's case closed. So now what's happened in the case and the update is that there is a twist. There's been protection orders for 4 years, rubber stamped by Joanne Challenger in North Vancouver Provincial Court. In her peer, Judge Milne, disagreed and only gave the other party a 1 month of a protection order before it expired. But it's upon its expiry, for a lack of urgency, for a lack of threat, and all of the things that were put forward in hearsay and non-empirical evidence supplied to the ex-parte hearing, which is not a jurisprudence and it is not afforded men, and certainly is supposed to be used for extreme situations where there's potential for violence, etc. And I provided the provincial court and the Supreme Court, the Court of Jurisdiction, with a brief in advance of a JCC, and as a courtesy to the provincial court to keep them apprised as to the validity of what they were complicit in terms of, fact versus fiction. I have never been heard in that court, and I suspect never will be. That's not the nature of their business. Their business is, all along, has been to delay and obfuscate the law. And so it's time to abolish that as a court. It has been brought upon itself such a level of disrepute, and there's no semblance of jurisprudence in relation to the Charter, in relation to the Constitution of 1982. And I've brought this to the attention of the Attorney General of British Columbia, David Eby, when he was that, and now the Premier, and the current Attorney General, Nikki Sharma. Have brought that to the attention of both Chief Justices of the Supreme Court and the Provincial Court. And, in fighting for my children for almost 12 years, after having 50-50 equal shared parenting, 4.5 years before it was taken over a series of litigious, vexatious litigation of applications which should never have been allowed in the first place, most of which, all the pleadings are in the Supreme Court. So the rally, getting back to the rally for the purposes of men's rights and for what needs to be brought to the public's attention, is the sheer numbers of generations of children that are basically taken from their parents under the auspices of the MCFD and in the process in the provincial court by ex-partes, falsehood made in secret meetings with the same judiciary over and over again. This particular judge in question, Joanne Challenger, North Vancouver, is a judge who has heard this case in ex parte now some 4 consecutive times, all times under 15 minutes, and the last being 4 minutes, starting with laughter and a familiarity which one does not associate with professional decorum. So, you know, there's, what venue do you have? As soon as I supplied materials proving evidence, in other words, in the form of a sworn affidavit, to the higher court, and then gave that material for its information to the provincial court, not in response to add any validity to the lower proceeding, which is in conflict with the higher one and should never have taken place in the first place. The ex parte should have been refused on the basis of the jurisdictional matter. But what needs to happen here is we need to rally, because this is not just about my family and my case. This is about all Canadians, and especially British Columbians, who are impacted generation after generation. You know, it has been said many times in these videos, but if we don't rally and we don't come together in formal petition to have new legislation, and what I'm proposing is really a first of its kind, and that is that we revoke the impunity of the family court justices in terms of their discretionary power and their absolute power in these circles, and we put those who have been complicit in what I deem as crimes against families. Now, crimes against families have been occurring for generations, and they have devastated children, and they have devastated the population base of Canada. You know, how many children grow up without, fatherless, and without any role model for normal heterosexual marriage? This is to the detriment of society. And what you have is generations weaned and fed pablum in the school system. This type of mentality where we don't need a father. We just need reproduction, and then we're good to go. And so, if we don't speak out about this corruption, and we don't speak out about the level of its interference in family matters, child rearing matters, in even those which have a claim in a federal court, such as the Supreme Court in my case, where a lower body with less knowledge of the case, with less education arguably than and less background interest, their only premise is to receive funding from the government to perpetuate the kind of sad situation that my children find themselves in, and many, many generations of children have found themselves in. You have 2 parents educated, and you have a call made during a custody battle, anonymously, supposedly, to the local branch of the CPS. And so immediately the misandry kicks in. We live in an era of misandry. It's the universities have sought to try to delegitimize the role of supposedly the patriarchy, and in favor of one of a matriarchal society. And this is really the crux of this whole situation. So you have an organization for women, run by women, and basically looking out for women. And all men are deemed to be villains of some kind or another. And going in and stating your case in a calm manner, and dealing with these social workers, 20-somethings, with barely any life experience, with their young apprentice taking notes, to basically screw people and fathers out of their child's lives. And what was said to me by several social workers is, well, you can see your children when they're adults. And why is that? What is it I have done, and what is it anyone has done? I mean, we could look at comparatively criminal justice and what fathers behind bars seeing their children more than a law-abiding citizen such as myself. So the scenario is very serious. I hope everyone can come out and rally to the cause and come to North Vancouver. We're going to assemble, hopefully, down by the quay, close in proximity to the local MCFD branch. There are two there, the CPS on one side and the Family Services on the other. And we need to show support because if you do not voice your free speech, you won't have it any longer. Thank you very much. My name is Stephen King. This series is Father's Justice.